Hello, everyone. My name is Araya Strong. This is for Cwid 101 TED Talks, fall 2019. Instructor is Kimberly Sheffer. And today I'm going to be talking about how to prevent stress before a test. So, what are some different causes of stress? Everyone can think of something stressful in their life, especially when you do a lot of things all at once. But when it comes to school, living away from home, so if you've, moved states or even just moved cities or even just on campus, that can be a pretty stressful thing for young people, especially those who have never lived away from home before. The academic demands of school itself, depending on how many credits someone's taking, can be very stressful, especially if you're taking a lot of credits. Finances, so worrying about how you're going to pay for school on top of paying for living expenses, and as well as just having some extra money on the side to kind of do whatever you want with it, is pretty stressful, especially if you aren't making enough money to support all of your wants and needs. That is a big stressor for a lot of people. Relationships and families can be very stressful. We all can think of a time that we didn't get along best with our friends and family, and that kind of awkward tension doesn't really help when you're also trying to study and do tests, and your mind kind of gets clogged with those thoughts of, how am I going to fix this? Or what are they going to do? And then working while attending school can be very stressful, especially if you're working full-time and you're attending full-time school like myself. It's a balancing act, trying to make sure that you get everything done, but you're also working, so it's a lot of planning throughout the day. So there are two kinds of signs of stress. The first one that we're going to talk about today is emotional. So when you're starting to get stressed out, you're going to have a lot less patience than normal. Things aren't going to move quick enough. They aren't going to get done at the right time. You're going to be very irritable. You're going to feel sad or depressed more than usual. You're going to feel overwhelmed easily. So things that you could usually handle, you're not going to be able to handle them anymore. You're going to have a harder time juggling multiple things at once. You're going to have this sense of isolation. You're also going to have issues coping with problems within life. So say you get into a fight with somebody, that's going to be a little bit of a bigger problem than it normally would be if you weren't stressed out. The next type of signs are physical signs. So you're going to feel very discouraged about your academic progress. So you're going to not, feel like you can do it. And so you're going to lack that confidence, which is going to show throughout your schoolwork, because if you're unsure about the things that you're doing, it's going to show, because you're going to be very tentative with your writing or your testing, things like that. It's gonna show throughout your work. You're gonna have deterioration in your physical appearance and your hygiene. You're just gonna lack the motivation to get up and to shower, and to brush your hair, brush your teeth, put makeup on, dress nice. If you're stressed out, all that you're gonna think about is what's stressing you, and so the mundane task of getting dressed and taking a shower, it's the last thing on your mind. Your sleeping patterns are going to change, so you're either going to sleep a lot more than you usually do or a lot less. And then that's going to really amp up all of these physical and emotional symptoms, because when you don't sleep or you sleep too much, your body just has different reactions to it and whatnot. And you're also going to have unusual weight gain or weight loss. Because some people, when they're stressed, they stop eating, and then some people stress eat. And so it's just going to be very unusual patterns within your weight gain or loss. So some ways to prevent stress before a test. These are kind of the strategies you can use to feel strong within your test. So feeling prepared, asking for help when you're confused about things, especially if you can, go and talk with your professor or instructor, making sure that, you fully understand what they're looking for on the test, the different material covered by the test, as well as just the general concepts. Study groups. I study better when I am surrounded by people because I can bounce ideas off of them, and they can also help me understand in different ways than I would normally. They explain it differently than I would. Using note cards if you're allowed, as well as just making note cards to practice, and same with a pretest. Pretesting, if you can come up with a way to kind of test yourself over the material that you are studying, it's going to help you because then you're going to learn, and it's different ways to learn as well. So your brain's going to get a little bit of a break rather than just reading a book all day or reading your notes. You're going to be able to, test yourself as well as be around people and ask them questions. If you don't understand something and they understand it, maybe they can explain it a little differently than your professor could, or even your notes and different things like that can be really helpful. Some more ways to prevent stress is by taking breaks. If you can take a break, studying and whatnot, it's the best thing because your brain can only hold so much when you're shoving it all in at once. Going out and exercising, getting outdoors, it really helps distract your brain, as well as, you feel great afterwards. Showering and taking a bath if you love it. I love taking baths, and so those are just really relaxing things for me, and it keeps me pretty calm. Journaling, if you like to journal, cooking, pretty much really anything that you find relaxing and that kind of pushes away from your schoolwork, if you can find the time, just to give yourself a break from having to worry so much about that, because when you worry too much, you kind of forget about all the other good things in life, and it just really brings you down a rabbit hole. So that's why it's best to try and take these breaks and get away when you can. So these are some things that you should do when you do feel stressed out during your tests. You should breathe, take some nice deep breaths, even if you have to do the whole counting thing. It's definitely an okay thing to do, because sometimes when you get really stressed out and you're in the moment of testing, you go to like full-blown panic mode. And when you go into full-blown panic mode, reason goes out the window and you just start going, or you completely forget everything. And so taking some nice deep breaths, sitting back, taking a second will be helpful. Admitting that you're stressed or anxious is definitely helpful, because then you can ask for help and they can give you appropriate help, rather than just being like, I need help, and then not telling much more. If you can, if your professor or instructor allows, take a nice break, maybe 5 minutes, just kind of step away, or even just like push the test away from yourself, just taking that second to bring yourself back down to reality and saying, hey, just breathe. Listening to music if you can, if you find that calming. Chewing gum. I know some people like to chew gum because it kind of distracts themselves, and it's also a very good coping mechanism when you're stressed out. And then remembering that this is just one test out of all of the many tests that you'll take, and that you're gonna do awesome even if you don't feel super confident, because you probably know more information than you believe you do. So a few of the quick little questions that I have for you guys to answer, get out a piece of paper or anything and just jot them down. So what are a few stressors that you can think from within your life? Different, whether it's physical stressors, emotional, environmental, like all of those different things. What kind of things can you think of? What are some things that cause stress that I mentioned beforehand? And then what are the 2 different types of stress that I talked about in this presentation? What are 3 ways to prevent stress? And then what are 2 things that you'll take away from this presentation and use in your current life? Whether it's through academics or even just into like the real world. What are some things that you're going to take. Take about 5 minutes, answer these questions, and then thank you so much.